Hello and welcome to GameCalc. Today we are talking about Elspar. Doing a little tutorial with him. This isn't a strategy video per se, it's more like mechanically what things can you do with him. So I feel like I want to do one for each of the current heroes because I feel like there's a few nuances to them that are not fully apparent right off the bat. Just in how they work and what they do, and you can learn the hard way, or it's nice to have that information ahead of time so that when you find yourself in a tactical situation and you need to know exactly how these heroes work, maybe you'll know it ahead of time without having to, figure out something works or doesn't work by losing a match by getting it wrong. So I want to start with just his basic stats. He costs 7 to summon like all the heroes. He has 3 movement, as you can see. On his own, he cannot attack. Or I should say, off the bat, he cannot attack when he's in his mobile mode here where he can move. So, as you can see, he's standing on the ground. And when you click on him, you see this little icon right here. It's his charge action, so he can move, and then you can do his charge action. In order for him to attack, you have to set him to charge, and he cannot move when he's charging. So we click that, confirm it. You can see he flies up in the air. His eyes start glowing. And he's ready to attack, but he can't attack this turn. The rule of thumb you got to remember is anytime he charges, which is what we just did to make him start flying, or discharges, he cannot attack. He can move, but he can't attack. Let's see if we can confirm that. Back to our turn. So see how he can attack all these areas, but he can't move. There's no option for him to move. But you see this icon right here. This is to discharge him, aka to put him back on the ground so he can move. So you discharge him, confirm that. He's back on the ground. He can't attack again because he's not charging, meaning not levitating. But he can move again. But he can't. Oh, maybe he can start flying again. Okay. Interesting. So I may be learning this as I go here. I don't play him very much. Let's see here. Let's try that again, just make sure I'm right. Back to our turn. So we're levitating, we're charging, we discharge. Move, and charge again. Okay. I actually didn't know you could do that. Very good to know. But now he can't attack. So you can move him and start him charging. Or if he is already charging, you can discharge him, move him, and set him charging again. Very interesting. I can't believe I didn't know that, actually. Okay, let me just check something else. I just want to confirm. Let's start discharged. So if he starts discharged, you start him charging, he can't discharge. Okay. So if he's on the ground, you can move him and start him flying. If he's in the air, you can put him down, move him, and then start him flying again, levitate him again. Very interesting. But if you do any charging or discharging, he can't attack that turn. So, I'm just thinking out loud. Let's say We attack. So this is a good time to talk about his attack. It's like a sniper. You can think of it as a ranged unit in this game, like our ranged unit here that range is 3 and attack does 3 damage. Range is 3, attack does 3 damage. You'll see each attack icon here is a little diagram of lightning striking and a hex, and the hex is around it, getting a little bolt too. So he does 3 damage and 1 splash damage to every hex around the hex you target. So like in this situation, I'm going to target the soldier and do 1 splash damage to the runner, the scout, kill them both. So I attack. If you attack, you can't discharge. Let's see if we can confirm that. I'm going to attack, and this will show that he doesn't do friendly fire damage. You'll see I can't target my own unit, but if I do splash damage, if I target next to him, I won't splash damage him. Yep, I can't discharge him if he attacks. So if he attacks, you can't discharge him and move him, even if you haven't moved him. And let's see here. He can attack the base, I believe. Like I said, I actually haven't used him a lot at all. We're going to go see if he can attack a base. Discharge. Move up to the base. Charge. So I can't attack this turn. So yeah, I can attack the base, doing 3 damage. It doesn't like do an extra splash damage because there's another base hex next to it. So in other words, you're not doing 3 here and 1 here for a total of 4. You're just doing 3. And yeah, I can't discharge him now because I attacked. I can also do splash damage to the base. So this is the base hex here. If I am targeting adjacent to that, I do 1 splash damage to the base. Okay, next I want to talk about targeting and ammo gain from killing enemy units. So in this situation, all these situations that I'm showing are very contrived. Obviously, if you look at the amount of ammo I have, this is me playing against myself and setting up bizarre situations just to show things. So keep that in mind. You'll probably never see these scenarios. So as you can see, Elspar can target even over... He's got 2 obstacles behind him. He can target over those obstacles. And you can see right here, I have some enemy troops in the way. I can target over top of them too. There has been mentioned by a dev in the Discord that is unintentional. Targeting over units and over obstacles is unintentional and will be fixed at some point. So that will be a nerf for Elspar in the future. Possibly. I could see them keeping it, but it has been said that it will be fixed. But for the time being, you can target over things. And you can target into the fog of war. We'll talk more about that later, I think. For now, let's talk about ammo gain. So when you attack with him, you use 1 ammo. So my ammo is 161, it'll go down to 160. If I fire back here, there's a guy here and a guy here. This is kind of some of this I'm doing as I go. As you probably noticed in the first segment, I was learning some things about Elspar's movement. Those things make sense too. I realized thinking about it that if he couldn't discharge, move, and charge, then it would take him like many turns to be able to attack again instead of just like you have to charge him, wait a turn, and then he can attack. You'd have to wait like 2 turns at least if he couldn't charge after discharging. Anyway, I am going to target back here. There's a guy right here. There's a guy right here. I happen to know. And I'll be using 1 animo. I'll go down to 160. And then I should be gaining 2 because I'll be killing 2 guys. There's a soldier here. There's a scout here. So my splash damage will kill this. So I should go up to 162. Losing 1 for attacking. 160 plus 2 for the 2 guys killed. Let's see if it works. Okay, interesting. So someone on Discord was just talking about this. They said the number was 1 off, 161. I should be at 162, but then when they moved someone, it didn't charge them an animo. So let's see. We'll move our soldier. Yeah, see, it didn't charge me. I'm still at 161 because it's like it knows I'm at 162. It's just not displaying that. And now if I move someone, I go to 160. Okay. So we recreated that bug and we have it on camera. That's great. I will share that with the Discord. And hopefully that gets fixed soon. Because that's kind of, yeah, that's a problem, obviously. Let's do our next example here. End our turn. Get the turn sent back to us. So now I'm going to... We have a circle here. There's a unit right here. All 1 health units. There's one here, and all around here. So I can target currently over the heads of these units, target the one in the hex in the middle, kill everyone, which is 7 units, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to use 1, taking me down to 165. And then I'm going to gain 7, which should take me to 172, right? 166 minus 1, take me down to 165. Add 7, 172. So let's see what happens. Interesting, same thing. It took me to 171. And now I should get a free move. Yep, still at 171. If I move again, 170. Okay, so that shows you a current bug with Elspar. Interesting. Hopefully that gets fixed soon, like we said. Alright, let's do our next example. Get the turn sent back to us. We're going to discharge. Move down here. Charge. Get the turn sent back to us. Alright, so here we have our Rinsef. Spoiler, he is in the middle here and he's surrounded by tentacles. What do we think is going to happen if we bomb Rinsef? How many animo are we going to get? That's the question we want to answer here. And I don't totally know. The reason I'm doing this is I've heard that killing his multiple tentacles did not give you multiple animo. Let's just see what happens to start with. We'll target the Rinsef right here. And also I went through the pain of the tentacles normally start at 2 HP. So I had some scouts run around and get them down to 1 HP so they'll die to splash damage. Alright, let's see what happens. We're at 179. Let's write this down. 179. We're down to 178, up to 179. Let's see if it's really 179. Let's move somebody. Okay, I jumped to 184 when I moved someone. Which means I was at 185. So I went 179 down to 178 theoretically, then up 7 to 185. And then when I moved, wow, it suddenly jumped right to where it needs to be, 184. So in the background somewhere, it's always correct about how much animo you have. It just doesn't display it properly until you until you make your next move, then it like catches up. Very interesting. This is turning into just a giant bug report instead of the tutorial. Very interesting. So, also apparently, at least in this game, I think people were talking about in Outwitters, in this situation you would not gain wits, but in Price of Glory you do gain animo for killing tentacles with splash damage. Good to know. And we might have to redo this video someday when at release, when all these bugs are worked out, to see exactly how these things will work in the final version. Let's see. Checking off things I want to talk about here. Talked about that. Alright. Let's set up... We kind of already know the answer to this, but let's set up something here. I'm going to set up putting some units in the Fog of War for us to splash. So, hang on just a minute. I'm just going to set it up real quick rather than cut. Alright. So there is now a unit right here, a scout. We're going to splash him and see... I think I know the answer to this. I think we're going to see, even though it's in the Fog of War, I think we're going to see what unit it is when we splash him to death. Yep, we see it's a scout. What if it was a soldier and we just do 1 damage to him but he doesn't die? Will we still see him? Let's put a soldier. Alright, there's now a soldier right here. We'll splash him for 1 damage. Do we get to see that it's a soldier? Ooh, no we don't. Very interesting. Let's try it again. I can see on my other screen he did take the damage. But we don't even see. Yeah, we don't see him. He's taking the damage. We don't even see it. That's really cool. I think people will be happy with that. Honestly, I'm not worried about it either way. If you could see him or couldn't, but it's interesting that you can't. Now when he dies, you can see him. So you see what you killed, but you can't see what you're damaging. Very interesting. Alright. Alright. One more thing I want to talk about, possibly. I'm going to cut briefly to set it up. Okay, I think I have 2 things left that I want to talk about. First, healing. So, I totally neglected to mention this. When you charge, see how Elspar is at 1 HP? When you charge, you gain 2 HP, you go up to 3. Let's see. When you discharge, you go back to 1. When you heal Elspar with your healer, he goes up to 2. If he then charges, he goes up to 4. So he keeps that extra HP and goes up to 4. So basically when you charge, you gain 2 HP. So just straight up, you gain 2 HP. And let's see if it works in reverse. When you discharge, you just straight up lose 2 HP. So you keep your extra HP. Let's just try another permutation of that. Let's take Elspar back down to a starting HP of 1. Charge him, gaining 2 HP, he goes to 3. Heal him, he goes to 4. Discharge him, goes to 2. Okay. So, yeah, just straight up, when you charge, you gain 2 HP. When you discharge, you lose 2 HP. Easy as that. The last thing I wanted to talk about is, maybe this is kind of obvious, maybe it isn't. What happens when you get blitzed? I feel like there's some interesting interactions between some of the heroes when they get blitzed. This one might be pretty simple. Yeah, I think we've already talked about all the consequences, essentially. So, let's say your Elspar gets blitzed. What exactly is going to happen? He's going to go to 1 HP, whether he's charging or not. And say he's charging, they're going to be able to either attack, or... yeah, so like on my other screen, which I can't show on here, I can attack already, obviously. Anybody in range. And I can also discharge, move, charge. And yeah, interestingly enough, you can charge Elspar, take him up to 3 HP right away. So that kind of negates the disadvantage of Blix lowering into 1 health. He can give himself 2 HP. He's kind of like a self-healer as well as a sniper. Very interesting. And it's 3 movement too. I believe that's everything I wanted to talk about. Let me just make sure I don't have another page of notes. Yeah, I think that's everything. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything about Elspar and mechanically how he works, what he does. And yeah, there's some interesting things going on with him as far as how he might be changed in the future with a possible nerf, getting rid of his artillery shot, basically, where he can shoot over obstacles and shoot over enemy soldiers. That may be nerfed, as we talked about, and also watch out for that multi-animo bug where you get the animo, you have it, but it's not showing on screen. Very interesting. And if you gain a lot at once, it might be a pretty dramatic difference. So before you fire that shot, do the math, figure out how much animo you're going to have. -1 for attacking, +1 for each unit killed, including tentacles in this game. And realize that you have that much animo. And yeah, you have it to use right there, even though it says you don't for the moment. Hopefully that bug is fixed very soon. So quick review. Like I said, please comment on anything I may have missed. I'd love to hear it. Let's see. Yeah, he can move, charge, can't attack that turn. He can discharge, move, then charge again, as we learned. He can attack the base. He can splash the base. The animo gain thing we just reviewed. He can be healed, and he holds on to that extra HP. Charging, gain 2 HP. Discharging, lose 2 HP. If he gets blixed, it's pretty obvious what happens in this situation. He can currently target like artillery over obstacles and units. And when you splash into the Fog of War, you can see a unit if you kill it, but if you just damage it, you don't even see it. You don't even know you damaged it. Pretty interesting. Alright, thanks everybody. Bye.